Hello and good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are in the world. My name is Davide Guarini Gilmartin. I'm the academic manager at the British Council here in Vietnam, and you're all very welcome to the latest in our webinar series for teachers across ASEAN countries. And this webinar today is on the topic of online skills for 21st century teachers. And I'm going to introduce to you in just a moment our panel of teachers from around our region. And before I do that, I can see there's over 100 of you already. So if you, while you're here, can you please, oh yeah, okay, change that. If you could just put in the chat, just let us know where you are from today. Where are you joining us from? Okay. Great. I'm just going to go through some housekeeping. Bear with me a second. Now you can see my my screens, which is a bit complicated. Bear with me just a second. I'll try and stop sharing and share again. Oh, no, it's still the same one. Third time lucky. I can't seem to change it, so we'll just keep going anyway with this one. We'll be okay. Don't worry, you won't be seeing too many PowerPoints today. It's more about the speakers. If you want, feel free to turn your camera on, but please keep your microphones on mute during our session, just to keep the background noise down. That'll be really useful. And if you have any comments or questions, please do put them in the chat box or in the Q&A as well at any time. And note also that this session will be recorded, and we'll be putting it on our British Council Indonesia and British Council Vietnam YouTube channels for you to view the recordings later on. So those are some quick housekeeping matters. But now I'm going to move on to our panel for today. And so here you can see, you've already seen the flyer promoting today's event. So now's a chance for me to introduce our panel. We have teachers from across our region, as I say. So first of all, I'd like to I'm just going to go around the based on the flyer. So let's start with Thuy from Vietnam. Can you say a few words about yourself and where you're from? Thanks.
So hi Davide, thanks and thanks everyone for attending the webinar today. My name is Thuy. I am from Vietnam, and I am the language policy researcher and also work as a deputy head of the External Affairs Office at Hanoi University of Science and Technology. Thank you.
Thanks, Thuy. And next, on the top right there, you can see Pak Jati. Jati, over to you.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Jati, Okomawang Jati. I'm an English teacher, and I'm also the president of Indonesia Technology Enhanced Language Learning. That's all. Back to you, David.
Thanks, Jati. And Jati's just come from I believe, very successful ITEL conference last week in Indonesia. So congratulations on that. Going around the circle, as it were, we'll move to our next colleague, which is Tutu from Myanmar, originally from Myanmar. Tutu, can you say a few words?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm from Myanmar, and previously I worked for the British Council in Myanmar in different roles, but currently I'm doing a master's in educational technology and teaching English at the University of Manchester.
Okay, my hometown. Great. Thanks to yeah. Great to have you join us from Manchester. Myanmar via Manchester, or Manchester via Myanmar. And last but not least, going around the circle, over to Tony from Thailand.
Kaboom, Swadikap. My name is Kichiromongong Tony. I am an educational supervisor from Office of Secondary Educational Service Area Nong Khai. And I also have worked with David before with British Council for maybe 2 years. And also now I'm acting director of Distance Learning and Information Technologies.
Okay, great. Thanks. So that's, yeah, great. Thanks. Great. Thanks to all of you for agreeing to appear today. And as I say, during the session, I will turn off my slides in just a moment. During the session, if you've got any questions, please do put them in the chat, in the Q&A. We'll try to feed them in if we've got time. We've got quite a lot to cover today. And then we can see if our panel would like to address any of your questions. And also at the end of today's session, we'll introduce you to a new course, a new online course for teachers, to help teachers help their learners with navigating 21st century skills. And so that's what we're going to talk about in our session today. So first of all, I'd just like to go around, say it's very open conversation. And first we're going to talk a little bit about maybe your experience of online teaching and online learning over the last few years, and maybe also the move from face-to-face to online teaching. So, I mean, let's go first to maybe Jati, yeah?
Yeah, okay. So moving from face-to-face to online learning, what we have learned of COVID, actually it's we are learning more on digital tools for collaboration, digital tools for communication, and mostly not spoken, but it's more on text. So digital collaboration, it was not easy. And British Council and ITEL ran like 2 years training here and there, and very intensive collaboration with the UK for exploring actually the digital tools that's good for collaboration. Yeah, so we are learning by doing. We are learning when we face a problem, and then we utilize Padlet, we utilize whiteboard.fi, and we explore tools that we kind of ignore before the COVID. Yeah.
Okay. Can I ask a follow-up question, Jati?
Sure.
In your conference last week, what were some of the main things you were discussing, or some of your conference participants were discussing about kind of online or education technology and learning?
Yeah, we made a prediction. So our prediction is like AI will dominate a lot of preparation for the teachers, and also will dominate, become a friend with the students, like mentioned, for instance, Grammarly, for instance, a lot of Elsa Speak, and other lots more based on the AI. And also we predict the use of metaverse. So we did some experiment, kind of introducing metaverse that is there. It's not really good for, we haven't really explored that for language teaching, but in the future it's going to be there. We explore like using VR and for visiting London, for instance. Yeah, but how we use that, we haven't really explored that. It's still kind of new for some teachers. But augmented reality, yeah, augmented reality, AI, and virtual reality, I think worth exploring. It's been used in a lot of subjects, but not for language teaching or language learning. That's what we explore, and also some sharing for parallel session about, again, tools that the teachers now become more comfortable, and going deeper, exchanging ideas in using the tools.
Okay, thanks. That's quite a number of predictions there, Jati, for the future.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Well, the next 5 or 10 years, probably.
Okay. What about you? What about you, Thuy?
Yes, so thanks, Davide. Actually, we have been facing a lot of crises because of the COVID-19, and there are some major problems. For example, we have to ensure the teaching quality, and at the same time, we have to make sure student engagement is good, right, in our teaching online. So actually, for myself, I have to admit that I have to learn to use different platforms in order to apply for my teaching. So that is a challenge, but I can now use quite many platforms, and I think that is very good for myself. And also, I would like to talk about the online teaching and learning in the sense that we, under the Innovation Fund project funded by the British Council, our university, Hanoi University of Science and Technology, and Coventry University, UK, got funded by British Council to launch a VivExcel project. Actually, this is very right at the right time, right moment, very meaningful project. we gather together to train teachers how to use platform online for their teaching to boost student engagement. And the UK and Vietnamese teachers kind of work together to build a community of practice to learn and to use different platforms at the same time. And at the end of the project, they also co-create lesson plans using the platform and also incorporate the SDGs in teaching online. So I think that this is really a great initiative for teachers to kind of enrich their online skills, and at the same time they can inspire their students or to also think about more online platforms that good for their lifelong learning. Thank you.
And from that project that you worked on with British Council Vietnam, have you got any resources that you could share with the people joining in today?
Yes, actually, I can paste the website later in the webinar chat box, and you can see our mission of the project and also model lesson plans. And in addition to that, we have the breakout Zoom guides, which is co-created by both UK and Vietnam researchers. And when you teach online, you can refer to the guides so that you can utilize the platform more effectively and confidently. Yes, thank you.
Thanks very much. Tony, what about you? What your kind of, you mentioned something at the beginning, something you've been working on.
Okay, it's kind of good time that we, as a teacher, we also would like the teacher to improve themselves in using the tool for online teachings. But we still also have the problem that some area we cannot access to all the tool, all opportunity to get online because of internet connection or some other devices that we still have lack of opportunity to get on to access on that. But the teacher, they try so hard to find a way or to improve themselves to use the technology things for teachings or online or using other online resources for, you know, in that crisis time that we are facing. We just try to go through that hard time together, but we still face some problem that we, you know, kind of, we need to help school themselves, and school have to help the students, and we ask for help from other outsider, other society. We help one another to, you know, to go through this hard time. But the teacher are also capable to use technology very fast, and we still have the group of teacher who really capable, who have skillful in using technology to train one another in school in order to, you know, to use or to expand the knowledge in using technology or in using online things for students. We try our best to help online teachings at that time. Until now, face to face, we also feel like more relaxed. We learn a lot of things online, but we adapt kind of, maybe we have hybrid class on site and online, that the teacher had to plan the lessons very well with each other, with the students, and also manage the timetable or teaching table with students at school. Yeah. This is for what I want to say about now.
Great, thanks, Tony. And before I go to our last panelist for her comments, there's a comment here rather than a question, I think, in the and maybe you can refer to it when you talk a little bit about your experiences. Online learning has great challenges, but I'm still having difficulties knowing how to achieve good student engagement, especially in rural areas which has low internet connection, because many of them are more interested in playing online games. One anonymous attendee has made that comment. I don't know if it's a comment or a question. So I'm not sure if you would like to sort of pick up on that, or if you want to talk about something else.
Thank you, David. That was a very interesting question. So if I understand the question correctly, I guess students are not very engaged in online learning rather than playing online games in rural areas. And well, to me, I think it's very challenging, even in face-to-face classes, to engage learners. But I think for online learning, it is really important since the beginning to build a great rapport by getting to know each other first. like, for example, if it is a blended learning course, then you really should start in the beginning, doing ice-breaking activities or warm activities. I'm sure teachers have tried that too, but using like, for example, even for ice-breaking activities, rather than posting comments, they could add a video of themselves talking about their likes and dislikes, or maybe taking a picture from their environment and post it online and comment on each other. But I understand it's very difficult to do that in rural areas, especially the internet is not reliable. So I guess we can make use of asynchronous tools like using WhatsApp or using messaging apps like social media, for example.
Okay.
Of course, it depends on the learner's age. We don't want young learners to use social media apps without any guidance. So I guess another important thing is to engage with parents. I understand, again, it's challenging because parents are busy already, but I think it's like three-way, teachers, parents, and children to be more engaged. And yes.
No, please continue to.
I was gonna just add one more thing about like game element as well. Like if they like games, maybe using gamify elements, like using rewards or giving them badges or things like that.
Yeah, and that idea of gamification is something that our colleagues in British Council Indonesia, I can see in the chat many people here today from Indonesia. Hopefully you've joined the recent series of 5 webinars on gamification in the classroom, online gamification. So again, there's some great resources there, and hopefully the recordings are available. Maybe one of my British Council Indonesia colleagues could put in the chat the link to that gamification, the link of the recordings of those 5 chats. Yeah, so thanks, Tutu. Again, it's really interesting looking at the chat. We've got people today from, as well as Indonesia, from Laos, from Myanmar, from Vietnam, from Thailand, also from India, from Bangladesh, from Malaysia, and from the Philippines. So we've got a real wide range of representation today. And I think we've just hit 200. There you go. It's perfect timing to introduce our participants. So it's great to have you all here, and please keep your comments and questions coming. So Tutu, you just mentioned there about social media. So again, what are some of the, how could we use social media in the classroom, or what might be some of the challenges of social media?
I think again it depends on the learners. If they're adults, then we can make use of social media to communicate with them on a not a regular basis. Of course, you need to in the beginning set your boundary as well, like when the students can contact you or when they can't. So using social media, you can contact learners kind of like in any time, anywhere. You can just follow up on the things they don't understand, but it's really important to set boundaries first since the beginning when they can contact you and how long are you gonna reply to them, that kind of thing. And in terms of challenges, I think it's really important to think about how you present yourself on social media. Because sometimes, for example, my students add me on Facebook, and then they might wonder what I post. So I really have to be careful and mindful of what I post online, because everybody can see me. But on the other hand, like there's also lots of opportunities using social media. For example, previously when I started working as a teacher, it's hard to find professional development programs or professional development opportunities. But with online now, for example, I can talk to anybody. Like I can just send messages to Jati on LinkedIn, for example, and ask about his association or things like that. Whereas in the past, it's really hard to do. So I guess making use of social media for your professional development is also one of the opportunities. Right. Yeah.
Thanks. And while you were speaking to, I could see Twee was nodding in agreement. So maybe Twee, you want to add some reflections on the role of social media or the role of online, and some of the issues and some of the challenges to be mindful.
Yes. So actually, I think everybody will agree with me that there are many platforms, many online resources for our learning, not only learning English, but for many different subjects. So I think we should use social media to kind of exploit the abundant resources out there for our learning. And again, I talked about lifelong learning earlier, that there's so many things that we can learn online, and to also talk about present ourselves and build our good profile, and also so I agree that is so important. In Vietnam, actually regarding the how to avoid the negative impact of social medias, I think I would encourage educators and also policymakers in education setting, maybe to set up regulations on social media. I think very carefully when you posting online, so that you have a regulation. You teach students, they will be very aware of the roles and also the consequences of social media. And when they are responsible for their social media, that's very good. And they can also raise awareness to their friends, to their neighborhood and family members about the online skill and social media. So for the betterment of learning and a better life and career in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that idea about being responsible and using the internet and social media responsibly is really important. Tony, Jati, anything you'd like to add on this?
Yes, I want to add that in Thailand we also have the platform that the teacher can make use of the resources that are available on the OBEC content, and also deep.go.th that Thai government or also the Ministry of Education decides to provide many resources, many good resources for teachers during the hard time. And the teacher tried to sort for that, and for making better class or making active class for the students, even it's online. But it still have some, I just told you earlier, it just have some like problem we are facing like others area that we still lack of opportunity to access in some area.
About Indonesia, I'm going to say two things. One, social media that I use during the pandemic, that I'm going to use after the pandemic right now. I'm using Telegram with my students. It's not for formal, but it's for greeting. Like I say, hi guys, are you ready with the exam? Or do you have any questions? So more casual conversation that usually I greet my students on campus. Then I use the social media, and it's okay. It's great. They are not reluctant to asking a serious question or just say hi, moving the schedule and things like that. So I'm using social media. I think I'm going to use that again later, so that it's easier for relax, not really in a quotation academic with my student, because that's a quicker way.
It's more like a real-time communication tool. Jati, yeah.
Yes. And also in regard to social media, I think every teacher should remind the students about digital footprint.
What do you mean by digital? What do we mean by a digital footprint?
Digital footprint is what is recorded over the internet. For example, if I write something very bad, I post it in my Twitter, then the digital is there. It's a proof. I erase that. Yeah, it's erased from my Twitter, but maybe it's still out there somewhere, uncontrollable. So digital media and digital footprint, social media, the students right now, they should be aware about that, because the future employee, their career, it's very much depend on that, because they're going to look at Google, they search that, and then the psychologists will analyze the social media and whether should I hire this person or not. So I think it's good to make the students aware about that. And my generation, they are not aware about that. My generation is very bad example of putting rubbish, a lot of digital footprint everywhere, and it's not good, but it will not affect my life, but it will affect the life of the students, I think, in this era. So
I think that's a really good point, Jati. Especially as you say, like,
and also
for people like you and I, it's not so
aware
important,
about that.
When we look into the 21st century and the young learners now, children and teenagers, how things may progress, and not leaving a positive digital footprint rather than a negative one of yourself.
Another thing, another thing is photos. They like to be taken the picture and then put it in a Facebook or whatever. They taken a picture of a grandchildren, son, daughters without permission. I think it's should ask permission. Is it okay if I upload it? Ask permission. I think that's a good way to teach our students as well. If you want to do something, mention somebody, taking a picture of somebody, and then you have to ask permission before you upload it. Things like that.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
That leads, thanks, Jati. And those last few points lead very nicely into our next topic, which I've just put in the chat there. Netiquette. Now this is for everybody. I'll leave this very open. What do you understand? Thinking about some of the examples Jati just gave, what do you understand by the term netiquette? Which I hope I spelled correctly. Any volunteers from our panel?
Okay, because I'm the oldest, so I start first. I'm the digital immigrant, so if I made mistake, that's okay. Tutu, you are a lot younger, so you should be aware about this. Netiquette basically is very similar when you looking at face-to-face. In my era, long ago, when the internet was new, I want to be known as somebody else. But right now, you cannot do that. Your digital life is your real life right now. In this early 90s, when the internet new, I can have somebody else like become me on the internet. Right now, no. So netiquette is like the way you socialize with people, asking permission, polite word, not so much a swear word if you don't know the person, asking permission to record something, addressing things, then knows the difference between are we in social media or is it email? The way you send email, is it the same with the way you greet somebody in Messenger, for example? There are netiquette that's sometimes confusing. It surprised me, like my student will send me email like sending in a WA group or Telegram group. It's like, whoops, no subject, nothing, just one sentence, no hi pa, whatever, and thank you, no, just one sentence, and then that's time for me to come say, you should not do this.
And I think that's
that kind of things. Just a start. So now to your thing.
I think that's a good point as well, Jati, because we forget how it's evolving. If you think 20-25 years ago, none of us had mobile phones or laptops and devices and even emails. So the progression and the pace of change over the last 20-25 years. So Tutu, I think you might have something interesting to share with us about netiquette, maybe something to help us. I see a few comments from some of the participants in the chat to help us navigate this area of netiquette. You're on mute, sorry, Tutu.
Sorry.
Don't worry, we'll do it.
I'm still, although I look young, I'm still like,
we'll do it.
Unmute. Right. Anyway, well, what I want to share is an acronym for sharing things online, like not like a netiquette per se, but things that you can consider. So the acronym I want to talk about is called SHARE. So I'll just quickly type in the chat. So it's easy to remember, SHARE. And so S stands for source. So before you share anything or like write anything, like make sure your information that you're going to share comes from a trusted source. Like, have you heard of the source before? Do you know the URL, like the link or the website name? Things like that. And the next thing is H. So that would be headline. So it's about not just reading the headline, like always look at the paragraphs or what comes after headline, because sometimes headlines can be just attracts your attention so that you click, and the information there might not be relevant or things like that. Another one is A, that will be analyze. And I will also type all these acronyms again in the chat after in a minute. So analyze will be like, again, check the facts. If something sounds not true or unbelievable, then make sure you check with fact-checking services. Maybe try looking at what kind of services are available in your country to check the fact. Then R stands for pictures, actually, for retouched. So does the image or video, does it look like it has been changed or doctored? So it might be edited. So make sure you look at the image as well. And finally, before you share, think about your writing. I mean, it's not the end of the world if you make spelling mistake, but it can come across as a bit not very professional, or you know what I mean, like check your grammar and spelling. So typos and other errors.
So does the E stand for edit then? I'm guessing.
Error, actually.
Error. Okay. Okay. All right. So that's a new. I've typed them in as you were speaking, but you might want to clarify those if I've made any mistakes.
I'll type again. And this is from the checklist as well. It's not what I created. I came across when I was just browsing internet. So
from a reputable source, I hope.
Yes, it's from the government website. So
okay, all right, thanks. And I think we'll come back to this idea, this kind of easy way to think about a kind of a checklist, as you said, later on in the last part of our discussion. Twee, Tony, anything else you'd like to discuss or share in terms of the idea of
Yes, actually for netiquette, I think we talk, our speakers here also talk about think twice or even many times before posting, right? Especially when we post to different platform with different audience, because Jati also talk about footprint, and if something is not so good, it will be there and it's not so good for our profile and so on later, especially for our teenager students. When to share about the share acronym, I am thinking about we can use the share acronym as to develop many topics for discussion for our students. The topic can be in the actual curricular activities, right? How to analyze information, how to talk about retouch kind of pictures or images online, or how to find errors on or cross-check from different sources. So I am just thinking that maybe our schools, our teachers can develop different, can discuss in the English club or in the actual curricular activities to make students be critical and be more aware of the online skills, and we use the online skill in effective way. Thank you. Over to you, David.
Thanks. Tony, anything to add?
Yes, I think netiquette and also the digital footprint also may be related in some parts, or maybe the consequences of doing the actions online. For example, if we just there are also good points and also bad points for doing this. If we post something good online, that the digital footprints will be record or bury informations online forever. You can search and you can find a good point or good thing that you post online on Facebook or whatsoever, Instagram. And if you sometimes you post bad things or maybe offended other people in reading or maybe insulting messages to others, that is not really positive at all. So this kind of negative thing will be buried in the digital footprint, and also it's not a good way for using the online, or it's not the appropriate manner for posting this kind of thing. For example, like we have to raise awareness to ourselves and also my friends and also the teacher to be aware of using posting things online, or before writing messages or before posting picture, you have to be aware of it's going to be harmful in some way, or sometimes like when you check in somewhere, you can be traced by the unknown person that maybe they're not maybe they try to trace you for a long time, but finally you will be trapped by posting or check in somewhere like coffee cafe, or posting the picture of that place that, you know, it can be the evidence for the thief or the person who not really think in a good way for you, so that they can trust you. And it's not that the good way to do so. Yeah, this kind of things we have to be aware.
Yeah, thanks. And I think we're going to move on to sort of another aspect now of, which is, as you said, Tony, building on the idea of the digital footprint and being careful about that, and also netiquette and how we communicate with each other. I'm going to move on to our final main topic for today, which is critical thinking, which is in fact one of the 21st century, key skills, the soft skills that we often talk about when we're teaching our learners. So why do you think it's important? I'll leave this open to anyone who would like to speak first. Why do you think it's important to develop these critical thinking skills amongst both teachers, but also for teachers with our learners, in relation both to the 21st century and to online skills as well?
Yeah, I think I'll start again. Sorry, guys. The gray hair will start first. Basically, because the world is changing, we live in a global world right now, and our students, including my son, they have to make a decision, and it's not easy. We got so many choices, we got so many opportunities, job opportunities, study opportunities, everything. Choosing a restaurant is more than 20 on the list and things like that. So they need to make a decision. Because before making a decision, then they have to have a critical thinking, questions, looking at things deeper. I have problem when my son consult me. I see 5 things only, and I make a quick decision. My son say, wait, Dad, it's not just 5. There are 20, and this and that, and this and that, and also a lot of things happening. So I'm helping him somehow with my short fuse, because only 5, and he got 20. So it's need a lot of critical thinking, looking at things differently. Give you an example. If you are teaching text, for example, so many texts there, then we have to ask question like, where is the text from? Which website? .com, .org, or because there's something else, And what's the title? Is it formal or informal? And then who wrote this? Is it really a scientist or politician or somebody from marketing company? Before we looking at text, before we looking at the paragraph itself, we have to ask those questions first, and then we look at the paragraph and which is convincing or not, and so on and so on. So if you ask me, David, why it's important, because there are so many choices, and we have to learn how to make that to make a decision. Our students, they have a headache and stressful. It's not the same with my stress to look for information at that time before the era of the internet. Right now is to select the information that's good for him or for her. Yeah.
And I was thinking while you were speaking and while you were giving those examples, Chatty, I was thinking about the acronym, the SHARE acronym that Tutu just shared. It's actually very, even though we were talking about that in the context of netiquette and communicating, but we could also apply that to critical thinking and how we as teachers use online resources, how we teach or train our students to access online resources. And both when they're finding things as resources, but also when they're producing things, if they're writing or posting something themselves. So you can see how we can adapt that, something like that, share the mnemonic, and use it in different ways. And going back to the idea of critical thinking, I think that's really interesting, actually. Any other comments? To tweet. Oh, getting all my T's mixed up there. Sorry. Tweet, Tony, Tutu.
Hello. Yes, for the critical thinking, I think online or social medias or online resources are really good way or good resource for both teachers and for everybody, and so for students who can access or who can just read to the text and also consider that the tech is reliable or not, or is it appropriate to to deliver or to teach student or not. And it's just that the huge or the massive of resources that people can access on internet. And it's just the way that stop to think that, okay, this is the right information that we choose believe, or how can we judge that this is really reliable resource, or it can be truthful fact. Okay, we have to understand, okay, the first place that where the information come from, or the news agency or the website that we that are reliable or not. And is it really good for teacher or for students, to think first and to select what kind of resource that they have to digest by reading in detail, and take a look inside what and why it's happened like that, or what's the problem inside, or why is happening this way, what is problem happen in this country, and why is comparing with our country, why is different. So we have to think about comparison about maybe two cases or two phenomena or phenomenons between internationally or between country. That can help us to think more in detail, and to think the cause or the effects of the event, why it's happened that way, and how we can solve this kind of situations if we are facing in that kind of situations, right? This is my first place talking about this first.
All right, thanks. And before we move over to Twee and Tutu, just to say we've got about 10 minutes more of our discussion before we do a little demonstration of how to access the online course that started today. So again, I'm keeping my eye across the chat and across the if we've got over 200 people now. So if any of you have any comments or questions, please do put them in either in the chat or in the Q&A box, and I'll try to feed those questions to any of our panelists. Twee, Tutu, any final comments on that concept of critical thinking, both for teachers and for our learners?
So I want to share something first before Tutu can talk more. So I agree with Tony and Tutu and Jati again, because we have abundant resources out there. We have to teach students different skills to analyze, to spot out fake news and so on. Yes. And with the share model like Tutu again, that is really good model or format for us to design lessons for students. Teachers need to be critical, and so as students. In addition to that, I really think you might recall some famous media person like Oprah Winfrey say, don't let social media use you, right? You should use the social media. So I think I would challenge all the learners and also teachers to not only talk about or develop critical thinking skills, but make the critical thinking skill to be action for your life or your learning. For example, recently, a young group of Vietnamese learners here in Vietnam, they designed the app to track down the illegal hunting. So that one is a perfect example of using the social media in a very kind of global, respectful way. And at the same time, it's really useful for them and for the betterment of our environmental issue. So critical thinking should be embedded in action and to raise awareness to people around in your community and worldwide and in a wider world. Thank you.
Thanks, Twee.
Yes.
Tony, do you want to speak? You want to jump in before we go to Tutu?
Tutu?
Tony,
Yeah.
do you want to go first?
Tony, would you like to go first, Tony?
Okay, yes. Can I ask something about when we teach? If you want to have like the critical thinkings happen in the classroom, I think about the teaching process that the teacher have to teach them how to think by asking simple questions and asking why questions, asking how questions to them, so that let them just explain their opinions, belief, and also give them some time to think about the reason why you believe that way, and also give them some idea, give them some time to think about what kind of the example or situation that related to what you think or the opinion that you just propose. This is the way that can construct or critical thinking skill for students in the classroom. We have to look at the teaching process thoroughly, but step by step. We have to make it this way. Yeah.
So challenging and through the use of questions.
Right.
Okay, thanks, Tony. And Tutu, last but not least.
Yes, I absolutely agree with what everybody has said about critical thinking, and especially Tony. I absolutely agree with you on the fact that as a teacher, I think we are responsible to train learners to think critically. And out there, there's so many lesson plans already made to raise learners' awareness and also to enable learners to think critically. I will put them in the chat in a minute, and you can make use of like these questions that you just talked about. I think Jyoti also talked about some questions, like for example, where does the information come from? When was it posted online? Who created it? How do you know if it is true? So I think as a teacher, we should also ask questions in our class, like even in a normal lesson, not about online. Maybe how do you know that? Where's the evidence? That kind of information.
Thanks.
So I think as a teacher, we are responsible to enable learners to think critically, especially in this age.
Yeah, and on that last point as well, kind of going back to our footprint, I guess. I think it's Sharad Chandra. I think that's the name. I hope I got your name right. It says it's very important to be careful while sharing on social media, as students consider us as their role model. And goes back to something Jati said right at the beginning. Again, of teachers being a role model for their students in different ways, in different aspects. And so that's a really good point. And before we finish, and before I introduce or ask Tutu to help us to introduce the course and show you how to enroll onto the course, Tida King, I assume that's from Myanmar, says, please share 2 techniques to improve collaboration on online teaching. So I'm going to kind of take her or his question, and I'm going to say, I'm going to ask everybody on the panel, could you maybe share 1 or 2, maximum 1 or 2, the clock is ticking down, 1 or 2 top tips for teachers and learners in terms of helping them to develop their online skills for the 21st century.
Okay, in regards to the questions about collaboration, I think it's first is ability or courage to share. Start with that, not start with collaborate to working together. You do, but okay, share things so that they feel confident. When they feel confident sharing, and then I think that's the basis to move on to collaboration. When the teachers is thinking, oh, yeah, without sharing, and then okay, yeah, collaborate this with that. I think it don't jump to that. They need of sharing small things. They feel comfortable. They feel secure. Then collaboration will happen. From my experience, when I ask, okay, you collaborate in solving problem, they will not collaborate. They will work individually. Things like that. Yeah,
I think that goes back as well to what Twee said earlier. Twee talked before about the importance of building those relationships, building that rapport. The same as you do in a face-to-face classroom. If you don't have that, it's very difficult then to do the collaboration. So that's a good point. Any other tips?
Yes. I was going to say something like what Twee and Jyoti said about maybe start with building a positive environment first, like students be at ease to share or to work with other people. And when I started working as a teacher, I would just say, okay, work in pairs or do group work, and it didn't help learners. So it's important to start actually providing them with skills to collaborate. Maybe some sort of sentence starters, for example, okay, let's do this, or like, why don't we start with those sentences and to work collaboratively? So giving them sentence starters would help. And also another technique could be using online tools like Google Docs, for example. Again, it depends on the learners. If they are adults, you could use Google Docs. with in groups, or using tools like Padlets, or using some sort of a space where learners can share to work collaboratively. So giving them, providing them, yes, opportunities and skills to work collaboratively.
Right, thanks. Tweet, I can see you've raised your hand, but before you give us your top tips, can I pose a question to you or Tony or anybody in fact? One person who's remained anonymous says many teachers struggle with technical issues that are unavoidable and cause stress. They can become helpless if technical errors come in the middle of a live session. How to overcome those challenges? So again, any top tips that you might think about for that, as well as what you're going to share? Tui, I'll go to you first.
Okay, so I would like to address the questions again about collaboration, and I agree with Jati and Tutu. And again, we train in our VVEXL project that I shared earlier. We talk a lot about effective collaboration. And I really think from my perspective, a trainer, a teacher, we need to have very careful design of our lesson. For example, what time, right? How many minutes or what time for each activity? How the number of participants for each activity? What is the content or the topics of the things that you would like people to participate? And also what are the roles of different people in different discussion forums, or example, and so on. And also we need to guide for our students, for example, we need to guide them very well at first with examples, with suggestion guidance, and then later when it comes to tasks, we can mobilize different platforms like Tutu said. So there are many aspects to promote very good collaboration that we should think about. And as teacher, we need to be very careful, like design our lesson carefully, thinking from many different aspects, like I have just mentioned. Thank you.
Thanks, Tui. Yeah, and Tony, finally, any last top tip from you? Could be about collaboration or any aspect.
Yeah, the collaboration, I also agree with all the speakers and also David. I think all the voice from teacher and also from students are count. We have to listen to them, what they want to do or what they want to share. We have to be open-minded persons to get new things that we don't know, and we are ready to share and to accept the thing that the teachers share. And also the students try to raise on the table or place it on the table for arts. They want to use this application, they want to use this kind of platform. So we have to help them to think further, how we're going to use this in our classroom, how we're going to make it 100% kind of useful for all in the classroom, and how we're going to share, we're going to help one another in classroom. So I think this kind of sharing or setting the growth mindset or attitude or this kind of mindset had to be set amongst teacher and also students as well before we start doing these things together using technology, because technology is everywhere and everything is online. It's for everyone's, for every users in education.
Great, thanks, Tony. And I said it's been a fascinating discussion this afternoon. It's great to hear everyone's viewpoints. Also to hear some of the views from the teachers in the chat. It's great that we've still got 200 people. Everyone's still staying till the bitter end. We've got about 5 more minutes. And I just want to say, if I don't get a chance at the end, just to say a huge thank you to Pakchati, to Tui, to Tony, and to Tutu for all your contributions to our discussion today. It's been really, really interesting. And for the 200 of you who are still online, now is a chance for you to learn a little bit more about the course. So if you're interested in all the topics that we've been discussing this afternoon, as I said, from today, there's a brand new online course on the British Council's Teaching English website. If you just bear with me a second, I'll just share my screen. I hope it's doing the same thing. There we go. Yes, there you go. So you can see the course there. Hopefully you can if you've got your phone, you can take a picture of the QR code, or we'll put in the link in the chat so you can see it. It's a 4-week course. There are 3 modules the first module is looking at digital footprint, the second basically at netiquette, and the third looking at critical thinking. So all the topics we've been talking about There's a Facebook group, there's some Facebook live events. I was on one myself just last week. And also at the end, you can receive a British Council certificate, and it's all free of charge. So to help you, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and hopefully Tutu is going to share with us how you can access and enroll on the course. Thanks to my colleague for putting the link in the chat if you didn't get an opportunity to take the QR code. Tutu, over to you.
Yes. Well, there's a question about struggling with technical issues, so let's see how I manage to do that.
That's why we do this. That's exactly why we do this.
Okay, let's do this. So, well, bear with me. Right. So this is the link that is shared in the chat, and so go down. And if you have a login account already, then you just log into your existing account. But let's say, let's create a free account.
Yeah.
Okay, so you fill in these things. So I'll try to. Okay, so.
Good. The password is not being shown on the screen. That's good.
For other information I shown because of the
I know.
remember thing. Yeah, that's one thing you need to care about. Yeah.
That's good that your password is strong, Tutu.
Oh yes, password is strong. Yes. Right. Let's fill in other information. I should have cleared my thing, but.
You're so fast anyway. It's only on the screen momentarily.
Okay, yeah. So
this is if you haven't,
just fill in your country.
This is if you haven't already got a teaching English account. Okay.
Yes.
And this is again, it's free of charge. There's no charge for this.
Yeah. Now, I'm sure everybody knows. It's just a quick tip. Like if you see the asterisk thing, you have to fill in. And sometimes I did fill in all, and then you have to fill in again. It's okay, but it can be kind of annoying.
Yes.
And so just do this. Age 18, accept terms, and then create your account. Okay, and now I guess you have to go to my email now. So
no, I think you just go into, if you log into your existing account now, I think you can access. I think you can access the course.
I think sometimes you have to activate it. So
activate
let's see.
Okay.
Yes.
It's changed since the last time we did this.
Yeah. So I'll activate it in my email. Sometimes the email was sent to your junk mail for some reason. So make sure you check your junk mail as well. But now I've got my email. Yeah.
While you're doing that as well, Tutu, someone's asked a question, where can we download the certificate? If you just wait a few minutes when Tutu's finished, I'll show you how you can get the certificate for this webinar.
So this is the email that I received. So you just need to log in now, clicking this link. So
okay.
Click this link. Now I am inside, and now you have to log in using the passport.
Okay.
Okay. Oops, no longer valid. So I'll just try again. Okay. We'll log in. Let's try again then.
So this is you're logging in now with your new account into a new account, yeah? If you already have an account, you should be able to access it much more easily than this. Once you've done it once.
Good. Now I am in. Yeah. So I'm in now. Then you go to the skills. Yeah.
I think if you go to training at the top on the right.
Okay. Here.
The first one there should be the. And if you click then on the course.
So yeah. Click on the course.
And when you scroll down, it should I think if you go to the enroll, the 3 steps there.
Okay, log in, enroll. Okay.
Yes. After you've logged in, click step number 2. Click or tap to visit the course website. Hopefully.
It's loading.
There you go.
Now, yep.
Okay.
Enroll
And
in
there you go. So
activity.
you can see start date is today. There's just one course because there's one course available today, and you're successfully enrolled in the activity, and that's it. And then you can then start using the course and exploring how to use the course over the next today and over the next 4 weeks. So thanks, Tutu, for that demonstration. Just shows that we're all human. Just how
yes.
the challenges of registering for these free courses. It's free, but we still have to do a little bit of work to get there.
Yes.
But hopefully not so much work that will put any of you off. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go back. Thanks, Tutu, for that. I really appreciate it. Okay. I'm just going to share my screen for the final time. I'm sorry I can't change the setting. I don't know why it's appearing on this setting. So you now know how to join the course. Coming up in October, just to give you a couple of activities that are coming up in October. Watch out, because the Teaching English website will be celebrating the World Teachers Day, which is on the 5th of October. At the moment, till the end of this month, they're looking for speakers. So if you are a teacher that might be interested in giving a presentation or a short workshop, use the QR code or go onto the Teaching English website, and you can find out more about the potential of becoming a speaker. Here in East Asia, in ASEAN, we've got 2.5 hours, an event that will start in the morning, and then it will move around the globe through the day. And then also coming up in December, we have our New Directions East Asia conference. This will be in Bali in Indonesia. And again, at the moment, they're looking for speakers. So if you've got some interest in research or in the assessment field, you can use the QR code or go into the Teaching English website, and you can find out some more information about that. So that's 2 events kind of letting you know now, advance warning, because we're looking for speakers at the moment between now and the end of this month. And finally, this is the very last slide. I'm sorry, we're 3 minutes over. On the left, again, use your phone, or my colleague will put in the chat the link, the hyperlink. If you use your phone, give us your feedback on today's webinar, then you will receive the e-certificate for this webinar. So I hope that's all clear, and it just remains for me to say once again a huge thank you to everybody, and thanks to my colleagues behind the scenes, all my British Council Indonesia colleagues as well, for putting the links in the chat. Thanks, Adi, for those, and for all the other support, technical support. But to finish, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone for staying with us till the bitter end. We're still on 96 participants. That's fantastic, considering we had about 210. Yeah, there's the link in the chat now for the feedback. As I say, once you click on the link and give us the feedback, it's a very short feedback form, and then you can receive and download the e-certificate. But to finish, I just want to say a huge thank you once again to, as I look at the top of my screen, Tony from Thailand, Tutu from Myanmar and Manchester, Thuy from Hanoi, Vietnam, and Chatty from Indonesia. Thanks to all of you, and I hope you have a great rest of the day and rest of the week, and we hope to see you in our next webinar. And I really do hope, if you've enjoyed what you've listened to today, that you're keen to then register and enroll on the course for the next 4 weeks, and hopefully you can learn a lot from that course over the next 4 weeks to help you and your learners to know how to develop our online skills for the 21st century. Have a great day, everybody, and hope to see you next time. Bye for now. Tomorrow.